The company that invaded India wasn't just about trade and tea. The East India Company was also tied to slavery, in ways history rarely talks about. It all began in the year 1600. A group of London merchants, hungry for wealth, convinced Queen Elizabeth I to grant them a royal charter. Their mission was simple: trade in spices, silk, and treasures from the East. They called themselves the East India Company. But this company's story is not only about commerce. From the very beginning, it was part of a world economy built on slavery and forced labor. In the 1600s and 1700s, company ships didn't just carry goods. They carried people. Enslaved men, women, and children were transported between India, Indonesia, and the Cape of Good Hope. In company ports like Bombay and Madras, records show enslaved people were bought and sold, used as servants, soldiers, and sailors. Even when the company wasn't shipping slaves itself, it profited from the global system of slavery. The sugar that poured into Europe from Caribbean plantations worked by enslaved Africans, was traded through the same networks the company depended on. Indian cotton, woven into cloth, was shipped to Africa, where it was used to clothe enslaved people. Even tea and opium, which became symbols of British wealth, relied on exploited and brutalized workers at the bottom of the chain. By the mid-18th century, the East India Company was no longer just a trader. It had become a ruler. With its own private armies, it conquered Bengal and much of India. And with conquest came new forms of forced labor. Farmers were taxed heavily, sometimes beyond what they could pay. Many were forced to grow cash crops for export instead of food for survival. Millions starved, while the company's profits soared. Historians call this indenture or slavery by another name. People may not have been bought and sold at auction, but they were trapped in cycles of debt, forced to work for the company, and denied freedom over their own lives. Even company armies were filled with Indian recruits who were often treated as expendable. Soldiers pressed into service for Britain's wars. So when we think of the East India Company, we shouldn't only picture ships full of tea and spices. We should also remember the hidden cost. The human lives exploited, enslaved, and broken under its rule. The company's empire was built not only on trade, but on human suffering.